30. He's a serious fan. And where do you live? Okay, and you voted for Trump, that I can tell you. We did very well in Tennessee, I will tell you. He's from Tennessee, but he travels all over, and he's a great guy. He's actually a good man. Where are you from? Oh, I like the Philippines, too. I love the Philippines. So, folks, thank you very much for being here. This has been an amazing period of time. I don't know, do you have seats? You could sit down, right? Sit down. We'll be here for a long time. We'll be here for a long time. So we're going to speak for a couple of minutes, and oh, what a nice crowd. They turned away a lot of people. A lot of people. But now we're having a lot of friends come in. Do you notice how nice everything is? Nice and soft and beautiful. And do we love Wisconsin, right? Do we love it? We love it. Hello, folks back there. So I just want to thank you all. Look, we have something that's so special going on. It's a movement. And Wisconsin's very important. Ideally, who's going to vote on April 5th? Who's going to vote for Trump on April 5th? Good, good. No, we're having great enthusiasm. And I think we're going to have a lot of crossover votes. You're going to have Democrats coming across. You're going to have independents coming across. You're going to have people that never voted before coming across. And no poll, I think the polls don't take that. The polls aren't even taking that into advantage, all right? They're not really discussing that. We get tremendous crossover votes. And I think we're going to do great. And frankly, we love the Democrats if they cross over. Do we agree with that? Do we love them? And the independents. And the people that have never voted before. You know, it's amazing. When I do shake hands with people or I do whatever they call it, the rope lines, they call it, where I sign. And we'll do a little one of those little suckers if you want something after. But, you know, when I do them, every 20th person says to me, Mr. Trump, I've never voted before. It's amazing. I've never voted before. And they'll be wearing like a Trump shirt like that. Stand up with that beautiful Trump shirt. Look at this handsome guy. He's shy. He got up and then down very quick. Oh, you pulled him down, right? There he is. Look at this guy. He's not shy. He's not shy. Whoa. He's not shy. I love this guy. Thank you, man. That's so cool. That's very cool. I haven't seen that shirt around. I'll tell you, I don't know if they got that one on television. I have a feeling they're not allowed to. But it's been amazing. And you know, we're winning a lot. We've won 21 or 22 states. It was just announced yesterday that Missouri, we just won Missouri because we got the vote. So that was good. You never know. You know, I won the state, and then they said they're doing a recount or whatever they call it. And when you hear that, he said, I also won Iowa. Well, that's a very interesting thing. There's a lot of truth to that. But with Missouri, we won. Now, we won Louisiana, and we won it by thousands of votes, and we don't get as many delegates as Cruz. And you tell me how that works. No, but think of it. You work there, you go, you make your speeches, you do everything. The people are fantastic in Louisiana. And we go out and do our thing. And then we find out we won, and we're happy. And then when we get the delegates, we don't get as many as Cruz. You tell me, this is a straight system, folks? It's not. You better be careful. It's terrible. No, it's terrible. It's terrible. What's going on is terrible. But the good news is we're leading by a lot. We're leading by hundreds of delegates, and we're leading by millions of votes. I think over 2 million votes more. And nobody has seen anything like this ever. The Republicans, which a lot of people thought was a little bit out of it, right? I mean, we have to be honest. And we are up almost 70% in turnout for the primaries and caucuses. And I must say, I like primaries better than caucuses. You walk in, you vote, and you leave, right? With the caucuses, you sit down, you have tea, you talk about it for 10 hours. After that, these caucuses, I'm not sure that it's a good system. I think that, and honestly, I think the right system is you want to walk in, not be influenced improperly, walk in, vote, and go home. And so I'm a fan of you know, primary, not the caucuses. I've always felt that. But I want to thank you. We've had some really great numbers come up in Wisconsin, and a lot of people were saying, well, maybe Trump can't win Wisconsin. I think we have a very good chance, especially with all of the independents. Do you think I'm going to win? Stand up, you two. Stand up with that beautiful blonde hair. You think we're going to win? All right, good. That's so nice. So nice. So thank you. Thank you. I could see that enthusiasm, that incredible enthusiasm. We have a lot of enthusiasm. We have incredible enthusiasm. We were in Green Bay today. Now, Tom Brady's a friend of mine, okay? And Tom Brady, well, but Tom is great. No, but we have to recognize greatness. Do we, let's face it. And Tom is a big fan of your quarterback. He said he's a great quarterback. That's good, right? Do you think you have a great quarterback? Absolutely. You have a great quarterback. How's your team going to be this year? Could be, right? Should be very good. You have a great team. And it's been so well run for so many years. It's a real tribute. You know, when you hear Green Bay, it's a real tribute what they've done. But you should have a very good team. You should have a very good season. And I'll make you a deal. If I win, I'm coming up to a game, okay? If I lose, I don't know. If I lose, maybe. If I lose, maybe not. You know, I'll be a little bit. But if I win, I'm coming to a game. Okay, we have that deal. Who's going to give me a ticket? Just one ticket or two tickets? Melania, Donald, Melania, and how about we'll bring Ivanka, right? We'll bring Ivanka. But we'll come up to a game. I'd love that, actually. I would love to see. I passed Lambeau before, and it's beautiful. Boy, they've done a beautiful job on it. It looks great, and it's got history. And yet it's been upgraded, but it's got history, so it's got the best of everything. So here's the story. So we have a country that doesn't win anymore. Our trade has been taken away from us. We make the worst trade deals of any human beings maybe that ever existed. And a lot of those deals aren't made because the politicians are so stupid. They're made because the politicians are taken care of by special interest groups. They're taken care of by lobbyists that represent companies that are in oil or in lumber or in electric or in pharmaceuticals. And the guys I'm running against, I'm self-funding my campaign, folks. I have a lot of money in this thing. But I have a lot of money. I turned down so much money. And, you know, I've turned down so much money. Jeb Bush had the record. He had $148 million. Now I think Hillary's going to have more, and who knows. But Jeb Bush, oh, Boo is right. But Jeb Bush had like $148 million. If I would have taken money, I would have had 3 times that amount, more. I could have had whatever I want. I turned down so much money. And I'll be honest, I don't know if it's really necessarily appreciated. You know, when people go in, they don't say, do you agree with me? You understand what I mean. I'm in for a lot of money. And I don't know that it's really appreciated from the standpoint that when you go into the booth, say, oh, well, I like Trump, and I don't like Cruz, but I like Kasich. I don't know why, but that's okay. No. But I think I'll vote, let's say, for this one or that one. But I don't think anybody says, you know, Trump is self-funding. That means he's not controlled by all of the special interests. I'm only controlled. I'm controlled by one special interest. You know what the special interest is? You. It's the people. I mean, that's why I'm doing this. I just had a beautiful grandson, and number 8, Theodore James, like Theodore Roosevelt, Theodore James. And, you know, I'm doing it for the whole thing. And look, our country is in trouble. We have no borders. Our health care is a disaster. Obamacare is going to be repealed and replaced. Our Second Amendment is totally under siege. You know that. I mean, it's under siege, what's going on with the Second Amendment, and so many other things. Look, we don't win anymore. Our country doesn't win anymore. And what I started when I first came down on June 16th, hard to believe, here we are, politician for all these months. I never thought I'd be a politician in a million years. And by the way, nobody respects women more than Donald Trump. That I can tell you. Nobody. And nobody will be better to women, and nobody will give greater security to our country for women, and in that case, for everybody. Nobody but Donald Trump. Believe me, we're going to have our strong borders. We're going to have our wall. We're going to stop the drugs from pouring in and poisoning. We're going to stop the drugs from pouring in. I mean, it's pouring in and poisoning our youth and others. We're going to have a real country again. We're going to make America, look at all the red hats. We're going to make America great again. And it's going to, even the white hat I like very much, okay? But we're going to make America great again. We're going to do it. We're going to have strong borders. We're going to have an unbelievably strong military. You know, our military has been depleted, totally depleted. And we can't beat ISIS. We can't beat, I don't know, it's just, I don't want to say we can't beat anybody. I just don't want to say it. I refuse to say it. But I see these generals, they're leaving the military. General Ordiano, good man. He leaves the military a number of months ago, and he's talking about it. And he's saying how, in terms of preparedness, we're just about the least prepared that we've ever been as a country. Now, I thought he was talking about since World War II. I think he was talking about like ever. And that's pretty sad. We're going to change that. And you know, in many respects, it's the cheapest single thing we can do. We're going to have a strong military so that nobody can mess around with us. Nobody. And I see some great vets back here. We are going to take care of our vets, okay? We're going to take care of our vets, fellas. We don't take care of our vets. Our vets are our great people, and we don't take care of our vets, and we're going to. Our vets are treated worse in many cases than illegal immigrants. They come in here, they get more benefits than the vets, and those days are over. It's over. It's part of the build-up of the military. So I see all these good-looking guys back here. How many vets do we have? Raise your hand. Don't even stand up. That's good. That's beautiful. We have, how many vets do we have in the audience generally? Yeah, a lot of vets. And the vets are being, they're being humiliated by the way we take care of them. So that's going to, and you've seen my plan, I assume. You've seen my plan in terms of health care and what's going to happen with the vets. And it's going to be something that's, it's not even a question of the money. You look at Phoenix, Arizona, where, by the way, I have tremendous support, including from Sheriff Joe. Do we love Sheriff Joe? I'll tell you, Sheriff Joe doesn't mess around because, you know, when we went to Phoenix, I had 21,000 people right near Phoenix, and Sheriff Joe has the border, and he's tough with his tents and the whole deal. And we had a lot of protesters. We had like 200 protesters. And they were very loud and very, you know, boisterous. And he said, oh, this isn't going to happen. And, you know, he walks right up to them. He walks right up. He looks them in the eye, and they just like, they're quiet. He's an unbelievable guy. So Sheriff Joe, they put their cars. We had 21,000 people, and the cars couldn't get through because they did a blockade of cars on the highway. So these cars couldn't get through. So they were being delayed tremendously, and there were tremendous traffic jams all the way back to Phoenix. And Sheriff Joe looked at it. He said, move those cars. They didn't move them. They chained themselves to the cars. He had his guys with chain cutters. Just walked right up, boom, boom, boom. They put 3 or 5 in jail. Everybody dispersed. They moved those cars. I'm telling you, in 5 minutes, that road flowed. It was so beautiful to watch. You saw that, right? It was unbelievable. It was, the way that road moved was, and we had no problem. And the problem you have is that we don't have people. Today they want to be politically correct. They want. Now, Sheriff Joe stood up to those people and says, you've got 2 minutes to take those chains off. They wouldn't take them off. Bing, boom, in jail. Everybody left. That was the end. And he endorsed me. And when Sheriff Joe endorses you, that means you're the best on the borders. Do you agree with that, right? When Joe endorses you, you're the best on the borders. But it tells you what can happen with respect. It tells you what can happen. I tell you what, it shows it's so strong. When you respect it as somebody that's special, when you respect it, when you have that kind of a reputation, and it's a good reputation. It's not a bad, it's a great reputation. There's going to be law and order. Then you have other cases where you have people that don't act like that. And you have protesters or agitators, because they're actually agitators. And we've been here now, we've done a number of these, we haven't had a problem. I mean, it's been really great. And you know, we owe a great deal to the police, because the police of our country do a fantastic job. So, they really are. These are fantastic people, and they don't get enough credit, I'll tell you what. And they take a lot of abuse, and they shouldn't be taking abuse. And, you know, if there's one bad apple, they end up being on the news for weeks. And it doesn't, you know, they don't talk about the way they're supposed to be talking. So I just want to thank the police, and the police here have been phenomenal. You know, we turned away thousands of people outside. Not a problem, other than they're not exactly thrilled. Okay, if anybody wants to give up their seat, you can sell it for a lot of money right now. But so I just want to thank the police because they've done a fantastic job. So when I started on June 16th, it was amazing. Coming down the escalator with Melania, and I talked about trade and I talked about borders. Then you had Paris, and it changed everything. And we went way up. We just had a great NBC poll just came out yesterday, was 48% to like in the 20s. Somebody was in the 20s. And I mean, we're doing really great. But it began with trade, and it began because I get sick and when I look at these trade deals that are made, these grossly incompetent trade deals, where we lose so much money with every country virtually that we do business with. That's going to end, folks. They take our jobs, they take our money, and it's going to end. It's going to end as sure as you're sitting there or standing there. A lot of people standing, but that's going to end. It's going to end quickly. But it started with that, and it started with the border. It started with illegal immigration. You remember I made the statement about illegal immigration, that it was like the furor. And then people found out I was right. You had the killing of Kate in San Francisco, the killing in California of Jamil, whose father's a friend of mine, who's an amazing guy. And this young son was going to be an amazing person, going to go to football scholarship, good student, good everything. And he was shot in the face 3 times by an illegal immigrant, somebody that shouldn't have been there. And it started with that. And then it really morphed in after Paris, more so than anything else, because you had the San Bernardino horror show. But after Paris, more than anything, where 130 people were killed. And you talk about the Second Amendment. You know, I always say, very simply, Paris is the toughest gun laws in the world, they say. So let's assume it's one of the toughest. In other words, you can't have guns unless you're a bad guy. These guys walked into the various places. They killed 130 people. Many, many people are in the hospitals. They'll be in the hospitals for the rest of their lives. And they'll die. They'll die. You're going to have many more deaths there. It was a horrible event. And if there were guns in Paris shooting bullets in the opposite direction, number one, they may not have even gone in, okay? To be honest, right? They may not have even gone in. But if they did go in, you're not going to have 130 people dead. You're going to have some other people dead. And certainly it would have been obviously bad, but it would have been nothing like it is. So we have to protect our Second Amendment, folks. We have to protect it. So it started with the trade, and then it went into the border and illegal immigration, and then it became military, and then a lot of great polls started coming out. CNN said Trump is the best on the military. Trump is the best on leadership. Trump is the best on everything. I mean, I was the top of everything other than one thing, personality. They said he's not as nice a person. And I said, who cares? I mean, does it matter at this point? And let me tell you, I'm a better person than these people I'm running against, believe me. Believe me. Believe me. And I'm going to put people back to work, and I'm going to bring our jobs back, because we are a disaster, what's happening to our country. When you see Carrier leaving the country, when you see Pfizer, you know, the great pharmaceutical company, leaving our country for Ireland, you see what's going on, folks. We're not going to have any companies left anymore. We're not going to have any jobs left anymore. So we're going to straighten things out. April 5th is so important because we have, you just take a look at Time magazine, the covers for a lot of covers. I've been on so many covers of Time now. Oh, you have one? Oh, there it is. Hold that high. Hold that high. See that? That's one. That's one. It's amazing, this political thing. I think I've been on Time once or twice in my life, and now I've been on like 4 times in the last 3 or 4 months. I mean, it's pretty cool, but it's only cool if we win. Because I got a call from one of the great writers, and he said, how does it feel? And I said, what? How does what feel? He said, what you've done has never been done before, ever. First of all, I'm not a politician, which I'm so proud of. But he said, how does it, because I built a great company, and that's the thinking we need. I built a great company and some of the greatest assets in the world, low debt, tremendous cash flow, and it's the kind of thinking we need. That's the kind of thinking we need. We have $19 trillion in debt. We're sitting on a bubble, and every country in the world is ripping us off on trade and other things. For instance, it was asked of me the other day, just sitting there asking a question about NATO. And I gave an answer that, like, I don't think anybody's given. It's 68 years old, and you've got 28 countries, and most of them are freeloading over us, and they get a big benefit, yeah, whatever. I mean, we won't mention individual countries. Some of them are fine countries. Some of them are very smart countries. I mean, why shouldn't they freeload if they can? In the meantime, we're paying taxes. We're the highest taxed nation in the world. By the way, my tax plan lowers taxes very substantially for middle-income people. They're getting killed. They're getting killed. Very, very substantially. And for companies doing business. Because, I mean, we're the highest taxed nation in the world. There's nobody higher than us. And when you think of it, isn't that terrible? So we have NATO. We're paying a truly, I mean, just the numbers are staggering. We're paying a disproportionate share, and it's obsolete because NATO was designed at a time when they didn't have terrorism as we know it, and this doesn't take care of terrorism. And if it does take care of terrorism, we have the wrong countries because we'd have to add countries and take some countries off. So I said, no, NATO's fine, but I don't want to pay so much money. I save so much money for you folks. I am going to save so much money. The waste that when you hear we have a military budget that's 10 times higher than anybody else, it's really false because we take care of the military for other countries. Nobody even knows it. We take care of Japan. Does anybody know that we take care of the military for Japan? Most people don't know that. Does anybody know that? We take care of Japan, right? You know it, right? And you're not too happy about it, right? Okay, my vets know more than all of us. You're not thrilled, right? First of all, Japan with all the cars. And look, I love Japan. I love Germany. I love South Korea. I love all of them. But it's time they have to pay up, right? You know, when you order a television, you order LG, Samsung, they all come out of South Korea, other than Sony, which comes out of Japan. But you order a television set. We don't make televisions anymore. We don't make them. Try finding. I just ordered like a tremendous order for a big hotel. In fact, it happens to be on Pennsylvania Avenue, right? The old post office. Because I said to myself, well, if I don't make the White House, I'm going to still live on Pennsylvania Avenue. So anyway, we're going to make the White House, okay, because that's more important. But I ordered, a tremendous amount of televisions, and the only ones bidding are the people from different places in Asia, mostly from South Korea. And here we are. It's a behemoth. They make the big ships. They make the big freighters and tankers. They make the televisions, the air conditioners. They're unbelievable. And we have 28,000 soldiers on the line between North and South Korea. And every time this guy, who may be a maniac, every time he raises his hand, we start defending. We start sending our ships, sending our planes, sending everybody. And we don't get reimbursed properly for that. I'm not saying we don't defend, and I'm not saying that I don't even mind taking care of Japan. Japan's a great country. I love Japan. I have many friends from Japan, many friends from Germany. We take care of Germany. No, a lot of people don't even know that. We protect Germany. Now, Germany sends Mercedes-Benzes over. They're making a fortune. They're a power. They're an economic juggernaut. And we take care of them, and we have budget deficits, and we have losses like you've never seen, and we have 19 trillion going, by the way, to 21 trillion, because the last budget they did was one of the worst budgets I've ever seen, and it was done, the so-called omnibus, which allows illegal immigrants to come in, which allows, the budget takes care of the cost of the illegal immigrants coming in, takes care of the cost of the Syrians coming in. Now, that's not going to happen anymore. We don't know who they are. They're undocumented. We don't know, are they ISIS? Where are they from? You saw what happened in San Bernardino. Two people, young people, that worked with the people they killed. They killed 14 people, many in the hospital. They killed 14 people. And these are people that this is a young married couple. Now we're taking in thousands of people, and we don't know where. We have no idea where some of these people come from. Probably where almost all of them come from. There's no documents. There's no paperwork. Are we crazy? Are we crazy? And when I said temporary ban on Muslims, I thought that was the end of my campaign. I didn't care. I said, we have to do something. We have to do something. And my numbers went through the roof. I didn't know that. And we have a president that doesn't want to even use the term radical Islamic terror. He doesn't want to talk about it. And nobody can say really why. I mean, I understand there's some reasoning behind it, but there's no real smart reasoning behind it. It's a problem. And they know it's a problem. And there's another problem. They don't turn each other in. When you look at what happened in Brussels, remember about a few months ago I said very bad things about Brussels. I said it's a hellhole. Used to be one of the most beautiful cities in the world. It's a hellhole. And the New York Times did a big story about me saying what a shame it is that I call Brussels a hellhole, and what right do I have to call it a hellhole? And then you had the problem last week with all of the deaths, the bombings and the horror and the lack of real protection and the lack of knowledge about these people and where they are and where they live. I mean, you think of it, the one guy that they've been looking for who did the Paris was living right next to where his apartment was. They don't turn each other in. They didn't turn in San Bernardino. They were making bombs. Many, many people saw bombs all over the floor of their apartment. All over the floor there were bombs. Nobody turns them in. They knew this guy, this thug, that now is in jail, and he'll get a lawyer and he'll be fighting it for 25 years, and that'll be it. Probably end up getting out someday. But this guy who did, who was one of the main players in Paris, we finally have them stopping to call masterminds. Remember they were calling mastermind, the mastermind. They're not masterminds, they're thugs. They're not smart. They're just dirty players, really dirty players. We can't waterboard, but they can chop off heads, right? You saw that where I took some heat. We can't waterboard. We can't waterboard, fellas. I'll tell that to my veterans back here, right? We can't waterboard, but they can chop off heads. They can drown people, 50 people in a cage, a big steel cage, right? And we can't waterboard. I think we got to make some changes, some adjustments, because you know what? If we're not going to play, see, the problem is, we have the Geneva Convention, we have all sorts of rules and regulations. The soldiers are afraid to fight. They don't want to go to jail because they're killing the enemy. They were too tough. So we have all sorts of really restrictions and regulations. They have none. They have none. They don't have any regulations. The bigger the weapon they get, the faster they're going to use it. They have no regulations. So we're not playing on an even football field. It's like the Green Bay Packers, if they have to play on a field that's designed where they have to go uphill. It's not going to be so good. It's not going to be so good. Well, we have to go back, and we have to start thinking about military instead of having politicians making these decisions, because we're not going to win this way. We're just depleting our military, and it's not going to happen. If I win, folks, we got to get rid of it. I was against the war in Iraq, but I will say we got out the wrong way. We should have kept the oil. We should have kept some soldiers there for a semblance. The people that we had running Iraq were bad. They created ISIS because basically they were very inclusionary, inclusionary only to themselves. And essentially the people that couldn't get in, you created ISIS, which turned out to be worse than anything we've seen in an awfully long time. So we really have leadership that truly doesn't know what it's doing. Now, you saw where I said keep the oil. I've been saying that for what, 4 or 5 years? People that know me, 4 or 5 years. Keep the oil, keep the oil. When you get out, stay and keep the oil. We left. Who took over the oil? Iran is taking over the whole country, so Iran ultimately will have the oil. But you have ISIS and you have Iran. They have the oil. That's what's going to happen. And as sure as you're sitting there or standing there, I will tell you they're taking the oil, and Iran is taking the country of Iraq. Iran made one of the greatest deals I've ever seen made because our lawyers, our negotiators are incompetent. Grossly. Secretary Kerry didn't have a clue. He never once got up. They would force things down his throat, and he never once got up and walked. I kept waiting. I said, get up now and walk. Don't take it. And he'd go, I'll take it. We'll take it. He's representing from us. He's representing us. He'll say, I take it. He never once got up and walked. And even our prisoners, they should have been out years before they got out. We should have never started that negotiation until we should have doubled up the sanctions, said, release our prisoners, and then we start talking. And now it looks like we paid, it looks to the world, and it's true, like we paid $150 billion to get prisoners. You talk about a ransom, I'd say that's a pretty good ransom. So those things are not going to happen anymore, folks. We're going to be smart. We're not going to have Sergeant Bergdahl where he's a traitor. And we negotiate for Bergdahl, right? And they get 5 people and we get a traitor. I say a traitor. I hate to say it, but we get a traitor. We knew he was a traitor when we made the deal because you had a colonel and a general go and interview everybody. So we knew, we were sure that he knew. So our people knew that he was a traitor. We make the deal anyway. So we gave them 5 of the greatest killers, the people they most coveted of We knew he was a traitor when we made the deal because you had a colonel and a general go and interview everybody. So we knew, we were sure that he knew. So our people knew that he was a traitor. We make the deal anyway. So we gave them 5 of the greatest killers, the people they most coveted of any people. Those are the 5 that they wanted. And now they're back on the battlefield, or will, trying to kill everybody, by the way, excuse me, including us. And they're back in the battlefield. And what do we have? Bergdahl. And he's in court. And it always seems to get easier and easier for him because, you know, they're saying, well, I mean, I don't know if that's going to happen because maybe we'll shame the courts. But, you know, a little while ago, a number of months ago, they said, well, we don't think he's going to get any time. 5 people and probably 6 people were killed looking for Sergeant Bergdahl, okay? When he was missing, 5 people or 6 people, probably 6, were killed. Young, great, beautiful people. Our soldiers were killed going out trying to get him back. And he left. He didn't do so well when he left. He found out it wasn't so nice out there, right? He didn't like it so much. I don't think he'd go back again. I'd give him back in Tucson. I'd fly him right over. Maybe put a very small parachute on, maybe no parachute at all. Fly, bing, right in the middle of that mess. I'd put him right smack in the middle of that mess. 6 people killed looking for him. But that's what we do. We get 1, they get 5, right? I call him the 5-for-1 president. Well, the Iran deal is the same thing, just as bad as it gets. And it's going to lead to nuclear proliferation anyway. It's going to be a disaster. And they don't buy from us. We have agreements that they can't, but regardless, they wouldn't anyway. They buy Airbus planes. They bought 118 Airbus planes. They don't buy Boeing. They don't buy Boeing. They don't buy from us. And we actually have restrictions. You'd almost say, why did we keep the restrictions on where Iran can't buy from us? You know, we kept restrictions on. So we give them $150 billion, at least let them spend the money with us. But we leave the restrictions on. We don't do anything right. We don't win anymore. That's the problem. We don't win with military. We don't win with trade. We don't win with health care. We don't win with education. We're going to end Common Core. It's going to be local, by the way. We don't win anymore. So I can only tell you this, folks. It's an honor to be here and to have so many people on this afternoon, which is actually sort of semi-beautiful out. It's a little rainy, but we love that kind of weather. Look, to have this many people show up and to have thousands of people listening to loudspeakers outside and leaving, actually having to leave because they couldn't get in, is such an honor. This is such an important state. I would love to win it. It will absolutely cement us. If we don't win it, it will be, you know, keep going. We'll see if we get to that big number. Because frankly, what they're doing, the establishment is trying to take it all away from us, folks. Let me tell you. They're trying so hard to take it away. Cruz doesn't have it. He will never be good at what he does. He will never, ever be good at this whole. He will never be good. He does not have it. He doesn't have it. He's strident. He can't even get anybody in the Senate to endorse him. He has Lee. And he got Lee because it was, you know, after months and months, he wanted to get Jeff Sessions, right? Who I got. Jeff Sessions endorsed Trump. He's one of the most respected people in the Senate. And we have Sarah Palin, and we have who's fantastic. And we have Jerry Falwell Jr., who did Liberty University, one of the great people. One of the reasons I do so well with the evangelicals. We've done incredible. And, you know, it's sort of interesting with Ted Cruz. He lies so much. I mean, he lies. We call him Lying Ted Cruz. Lyin'. Lying Ted. He holds the Bible up high, puts it down, and then he lies. Look what he did to Ben Carson, who endorsed me, by the way, a great guy. He goes into Iowa. He goes into Iowa and he says, Ben Carson is out of the race. He's left the race. Vote for Cruz. Vote for Lying Ted Cruz. And many people did that. And many people did that. And then he has a certificate, it's a voter certificate, which is like a fraudulent document. He puts that out there. It's really disgraceful, folks. And let me tell you, he doesn't have the temperament to be president. He doesn't have the talent to be president. He would be one hell of a lousy president, that I can tell you. And there will be turmoil. There will be turmoil all over the place. So we're just going to have to see what happens. But, you know, he's in favor of TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership deal, TPP. You think NAFTA was bad? TPP is worse. Your business is going to be drained out of Wisconsin and the whole country. It's one of the dumbest deals I've ever seen. It's 7,000 pages long, and I guarantee you every country involved has read every inch of that document. I'll bet you that our congressmen and our senators probably haven't even read it. It's sitting on their desks a mile high, and they haven't even read it. It's a disaster. And they don't talk about devaluation, monetary devaluation or currency devaluation. They don't even talk about it. And that's the single greatest tool how we get killed by China and the other countries. You look at what Japan has done to their yen. You have to take a look. China, what they're doing, they're like grand chessmakers. They are the best. Nobody's ever played the game better. We have rebuilt China. We've rebuilt it. And we can't continue to go on like this. So we're not going to go on like this. We're going to become a rich country again. A woman came up to me and she said, Mr. Trump, I love what you say. I love it. But don't use the word rich country. That doesn't sound good. I said, without rich, we can't be great. Right now, we're a debtor nation. Our airports are crumbling. Our roads are crumbling. You look at our transportation. We have trains that go 60 miles an hour. You go to China, you go to Japan, they have trains that go 250 miles an hour. We have obsolete airports. We have hospitals that need help. We spend money on everybody but ourselves. We're taking care of everybody. Look at the military. I could talk about that, but I could talk about many other things. And you look at, as an example, you look at what Mexico is doing to us at the border. And I have great relationships with the Mexicans and with the Hispanics. But the Mexican leadership is killing us at the border and with trade. Companies are moving to Mexico left and right. Carrier, Ford, they're just, Nabisco, they're closing their big plant in Chicago. So many countries and so many companies are moving to different countries. But Mexico is like a small version of China. It's like the new China. And we have to do something about it. I know exactly what to do. These guys, these politicians, I see their legislation, they have no clue. And believe me, they're draining it out of Wisconsin. I was going to read you some statistics, and somebody said, oh, please don't do that. Please, I got to do it. I got to do it. Can I do it? Do you mind? So terrible. So terrible. Okay, so I just said, do me a favor, check this out, because I want to see how's Wisconsin. Because when Scott Walker ran, he was expected to win, right? He was in first. I'm sorry to disappoint you folks if you liked him. But we did something that was pretty tough. And you know, obviously he wasn't. Somebody said, do you think he'll endorse you? I said, I doubt it. Because I was the one that got him out. I'm proud of it. By the summer of 2015, Wisconsin was facing a $2.2 billion two-year budget deficit. This is right out of the books, by the way. This is not me. This is just right out of the books. Total state debt right now is $45 billion. You didn't know that. A lot of money was borrowed so that we can keep taxes down so he could run for president. Now he's endorsing a guy who doesn't have a chance. 20,000 fewer people in labor force in Wisconsin than 7 years ago, even though the population growth was 100,000. So you have 100,000 more people, and you have 20,000 fewer people that are working. Would you say that's not a good stat? They have an unemployment rate of 20%. I don't know what that relates to, but I guess that relates to people that are really unemployed and, you know, as opposed to the fictitious number that the federal government uses where if you stop looking for a job, you're essentially statistically considered to be employed. 800,000 food stamp recipients. This is Wisconsin. The middle class, which is why I'm doing so well. The middle class has been, they've forgotten about the middle class, but we're not going to forget about the middle class, I'll tell you right now. The middle class was hit particularly hard due to the loss of manufacturing jobs. This is why. And now the guy didn't endorse me. Who the hell wants his endorsement? You know the bikers love Trump, right? Do we have any bikers in here? Right? The bikers, for whatever reason, they love Trump. And I like limousines better than bikes. Can you believe it? But they love me. I went to one place, I think it was in Hilton Head, and there were hundreds. There must have been 500, 600, or 700 bikers out there. Rough guys, big, tough guys. And these guys from Secret Service, who are fantastic people, by the way, they didn't like, oh, they're fantastic. By the way, did you see them take that one guy down? Was that good? Okay, we got to tell these guys. No games, no smiles, no games, just boom. But I will say this, the bikers have been so unbelievable because they want strength. And I said, I want to take a picture with those guys. These guys went crazy. They said, no way, no way. I said, they're my people. I love these guys. I don't know how many guns they must have had pouring out of their guts. There must have been, they were not happy campers, the Secret Service. But I stood there and I took pictures with these hundreds of guys. And I'll tell you, it was like a love fest. They want to see strength. These are great guys, great people, and gals. They want to see strength. They want to see us be strong again. They don't want the weakness. And when I see Scott Walker with his little motorcycle and he puts his helmet on and he gets off and he makes a speech and then he doesn't understand why people don't vote for him, I understand, okay? But, you know, he's always riding like, you know, he gets off a bike like he's a big tough guy, okay, or a little tough guy. So Wisconsin has lost 15,000 net jobs to Mexico since NAFTA. 15,000 just to Mexico. Now, NAFTA's a disaster. Kasich, when he was a congressman, approved and pushed very hard for NASA, right? They wanted NAFTA. He wanted NAFTA very badly. NAFTA has been one of the worst things ever to hit this country. One of the worst things. You had to see New England. I left New England. I won New Hampshire really big and won a lot of states. I love those states that I win. The ones that I don't win, I don't love as much. I have to be honest with you, so we got to get going. But you have to see the damage that's been done where these companies have just left, mostly from Mexico. They just left New England. It's just unbelievable. It's horrible. 70,000 jobs have been lost from Wisconsin. 70,000 to China. I mean, think of it. What are we stupid people? Are we stupid? Well, the leaders are stupid. We're not stupid. We're not going to be stupid anymore. That's why on April 5th you have to go to vote, okay? So here's something that I wanted to read to you, okay? This has to do with illegal immigration. Because when I first brought it up, people said, oh, that's so terrible, what you did. We don't know what we're getting into. Think about the Syrians coming in. Think about it. Because, again, we don't know who they are. There's no paperwork. There's no documentation. So this is a poem. This was written by the great Al Wilson. You remember Al Wilson from years ago? Rock and roll singer. And I adapted it a little bit, but I will tell you, I just think it's great. Have people heard this? Have you all heard this? No? Has anybody heard it? Have you heard it? Oh, I love that when they say I have, because I've done it 3 or 4 times. You've heard it. You like it? So you got to listen carefully, okay? This is about a woman who sees a crippled snake, a snake that's in bad trouble, and takes it in to make it better. Think about ISIS. Think about the Syrians. Think about what you're getting. Think about illegal immigration. Just think about it. Okay, you ready? On her way to work one morning, down the path along the lake, a tender-hearted woman saw a poor, half-frozen snake. His pretty-colored skin had been all frosted with the dew. Oh, well, she cried, I'll take you in, and I'll take care of you. Take me in, O tender woman. Take me in for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman, sighed the broken snake. She wrapped him up all cozy in a curvature of silk, and then laid him by the fireside with honey and some milk. Nice woman. Now she hurried home from work that night. As soon as she arrived, she found that pretty snake she'd taken in and she'd revived. Take me in, O tender woman, take me in for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman, sighed the broken snake. Now she clutched him to her bosom. You're so beautiful, she cried. But if I hadn't brought you in by now, heaven's sake, you would have died. She stroked his pretty skin, and then she kissed him and held him tight. But instead of saying thank you, that snake gave her a vicious bite. Right? Are we getting it? Ready? Vicious bite. Take me in, O tender woman. Take me in for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman, sighed the now broken snake. I saved you, cried the woman, and you bit me. Heavens, why? You know your bite is poisonous, and now I'm going to die. Oh, shut up, silly woman, said the reptile with a grin. You knew damn well I was a snake before you took me in. Right? 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 Do the vets agree with me? Right? You understand? I mean, it's so obvious, folks. We're going to have problems like you've never had before. We're being infiltrated. That's what's happening. We are being infiltrated. And it's going to happen. Just like I was right about Brussels. Just like I was right about Take the Oil. Just like I was right about Osama bin Laden. I wrote about Osama bin Laden in a book, The America We Deserve, that I wrote in the year 2000. That's 2 years before the World Trade Center came down. And people said, no way, no way. You know why? Because I watched him. I saw him. I read about him. And I said, this guy's trouble. And I wrote about him in a book. In fact, Joe Scarborough, a good guy, a host on Morning Joe, recently said, there's no way Trump mentioned that. No, no. In fact, one of my enemies said, no, he actually did. He talked about Osama bin Laden in a book 2 years before the World Trade. No way, Joe said. And they passed the book over to him. He said, wow, I know what I'm doing. Believe me, I know what I'm doing. We are a country that's in serious, serious trouble. We have incompetent politicians running our country. We have stupid people making decisions. We're the laughing stock of the world. Our military is going to hell, and you guys know that. Our military is going to hell. Our health care is no good. It doesn't work. We're going to change that. It's going to be great, by the way. But our health care doesn't work. Nothing we have works anymore. So I just say, on April the 5th, I want you to go out. I want you to vote. Even, okay, I have to be honest. I hear politicians for years asking people to go vote. And they always say, even if you're not going to vote for me, it's the American way. You must go out and vote. It's for our country. Even if it's not for, well, let me tell you, if you're not going to vote for me, don't go out and vote. I don't care. Okay, don't. Do not. Don't go out. Don't go out and vote. So here's my promise to you. I didn't need to do this, believe me. I have a wonderful family. I have a wonderful life. I built this great company. I didn't need to do this. I wanted to do this. And again, I'm not controlled by anybody but you. I wanted to do this because I owe it to the country. This country has been so good to me, beyond anything I could have. You would have told me 30 years ago that I'd be in a position, and not where I'm running for president, but in a position where I built this tremendous company, this tremendous wealth, and now I'm saying I want to give something back. But I didn't need to do this. I wanted to do it. And honestly, if I get in, it's going to go quickly. We're going to tell people, sorry, folks, you have to pay up. We're going to make our country rich again. We're going to make our country so strong again. We're going to save your Social Security. You know, all the guys I'm running against, they want to cut your Social Security. They want to take your Medicare, take your Social Security, cut the hell out of it. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to bring in the jobs. I'm going to bring in the money, and you're going to keep your Social Security. We're going to get rid of the fraud, waste, and abuse, but you're going to keep your Social. And I'm the only one that says it, believe me. The only one. You're going to keep your Social. As sure as you're sitting there, you are keeping your Social Security. You've been paying in all your lives. You're going to keep your Social Security and your Medicare. Okay. So here's what's going to happen. We're going to start winning again, quickly. We're going to win with our military. We're going to knock out ISIS. Number 30. We spend more per pupil than any other country in the world by a factor that's so high that the second place doesn't even exist. Second place is so much lower. And we're at the bottom of the heap. It's not going to happen. Apple products here. I don't want to make them in China and Vietnam. I want to make them here. And we'll be able to do that. Once we get them to stop devaluing and doing all sorts of numbers, we're going to bring our jobs back. Okay, so folks, I ask you one thing. I don't want your money. I want one thing. On April 5th, and tell everybody you know, I will do such a great job. Go out and vote. You will be so proud of your country. You'll be so proud of your president, which I'm less inclined to even care about. I want you to be proud of your country. But you will be so proud still of your president, because we're going to start winning again. We're going to win with our military. We're going to knock out ISIS. We're going to win with trade. We're going to make some of the great trade deals. I have the greatest people in the world. They're friends of mine. They're killers. They're horrible, in many cases, horrible, horrible human beings. Do we care? Right now we have political hacks that have a 37 IQ. Right now we have, or that are very smart, and who knows what's going on. But China has their best and their smartest, and they come at you in waves. I've made a lot of money with China. Biggest bank in the world is my tenant. I sell condos. The Bank of America building in San Francisco, I own a massive chunk of it. I got it from China. I mean, I made a lot of money with China. You can do great with China. China doesn't believe they're getting away with this. So here's the story. We're going to start winning again. We're going to win in every capacity. You're going to be so proud of the United States once again. You're going to say this was one of the great afternoons of your life, and you're going to say your vote on April 5th was the single greatest vote you've ever made. Believe me. So I want to thank you all. I love you all. Thank you very much, folks. Thank you, Wisconsin. Thank you. Thank you. We'll do a